Imagine yourself, you're partnering with previous generations, and you're partnering with future generations, downstream generations. And that's how this whole thing works. Here's another example. Look at this. This is the genealogy of Jesus. Is anybody a big fan of Jesus? Right? If you think of Jesus, you think of the mission that Jesus was on. Actually, when I started following Jesus, all I knew was this overnight success called Jesus. All I knew was Jesus. I didn't realize that he was actually a part of this big family team, a multi-generational family team on mission. I didn't realize that this was actually God taking many generations to bring about an incredible thing. So I just showed this to you because this is how God works. This is 39 generations from Abraham to the generation of Jesus. Such a beautiful picture. And so, a multi-generational family team on mission. This is the core definition of a family team. It's got a couple different pieces here. The first is multi-generational, which I just talked about. We have to partner, and you have to view this. How old will let's say if you have a child, how old will your oldest child be in 30 years? Visualize it right now. 30s, 40s, yeah. So now, what about 2 generations out? Think about it. How old will you be in 2 generations? Add 60 years on there. How old will you be in 60 years? Now, what if God's actually called you to something that is 400 years from now? Is it like going back to Jeff and being like, hey, I actually am not in the game that long. I need to be out by December 14th because I'm looking at short-term stuff. And God's like, no, I got this incredible opportunity, but you're gonna have to stick in the game for 400 years. You're like, well, we tend to die after about 100 years. He says, well, what if it's not just you that gets over the finish line? What if it's your family team that takes this over the finish line? So it's a different viewpoint of multi-generational. Family team, though, is you're actually working as a team. That's why we have to shift the model. We understand teams, and we understand cultures of teams. We have entire industries that study teams. That's what actually I do for a living. I'm a leadership and performance coach that helps teams get to the next level. So I study this stuff. Teams. So the big charge tonight is start acting like a team in your current family team. And that means partnering with your downstream generation, your kids, and the previous generation, partnering with your parents and grandparents, tapping in. What did they start that you might be able to move to that next level? That's a question for you. Maybe you could ask that. Ask your parents, what did you start that you weren't able to finish? Or that you need me to carry on to that next generation? Or what did you start that you want our grandkids to carry on to that next generation? And sometimes they have vision, sometimes they don't. And then lastly, it's on a mission. Well, if you got this awesome multi-generational family, is that cool? Is that meant so that you can enjoy the storehouse of blessing alone? Or is it like Abraham and Jesus, where it's actually meant to be a blessing to all nations? It's meant to be a blessing for others. So the family team is not meant to get strong and profitable and thriving for its own benefit. It's meant for the benefit and the flourishing of others. And I love this quote. The one who plants trees, knowing that he will never sit in their shade, has started to understand the meaning of life. If you plant trees today, you're not going to see that return, especially large enough oak trees that can benefit the next generation. We have an oak tree in our yard. We benefit from this incredible oak tree. We just had 100 people over from our community for a Sukkot gathering. It was awesome. We got a lot of you guys here tonight who were there. It was great. We sat under this epic oak tree, and none of us planted it. Somebody else, long before us, chose to be a blessing to that next generation. So that's what family teams do.